This is John Kohler with OKRaw.com. Today we have another exciting episode for you. In this episode, I'm going to show you guys the best juicer and blender I ever found if you are living on a raw vegan or even vegan or plant-based or nutritarian diet. My name is John Kohler and I've been eating a raw vegan diet predominantly since 1995, and I will honestly tell you guys that I'm the #1 expert in juicers and equipment to process your food in the best ways possible to maintain the most nutrition. I've been playing with all the different raw food juicers and blenders and appliances for the last 28 years, and I'm finally making a video where I share my favorite one of them all. No, it's not a Vitamix. You know, hey, I used to use a Vitamix back in the day, then I used a Blendtec, but now I'm in love with this machine. You're thinking, wait a second, John, that looks like the Nama J2 juicer. Well, yes, while the Nama J2 juicer is my favorite juicer, this machine here is the all-new Nama C2, and this is a combination machine. Currently, I have it set up for juicing, and it's an amazing slow juicer. A matter of fact, it's the slow juicer that most raw vegans prefer these days, if you look on social media for sure. One of the reasons why I like it the most is because it just makes the whole juicing process easy. Also, it is a slow cold press juicer that runs at 50 revolutions per minute to extract the highest yields out of things, especially like the leafy greens and the fruits that I know many of you guys like to juice. In a test where I test this against a Breville high-speed machine, this machine got about 40% more juice out of the tangerines than the high-speed juicer. If you guys are still using a high-speed juicer, I encourage you guys to upgrade to the latest and greatest slow juicing technology with the automatic hopper. So you just load up all the produce in there, you turn it on, and you could literally walk away and let the juicing do all the work. No longer do you have to be a slave to your juicer and push each produce item into the machine. I've done that for so many years now, and I'm glad with the Nama J2, it allows me to do other things in my life that are more important than just sitting there pushing produce into the juicer. So this machine wouldn't be that amazing if it was just a juicer. Surely I have other videos on juicers, but this is the C2, the combo 2, while it is also basically you get the equivalent of a Nama J2 juicer with the whole juicing top set parts, right? You also get another top set that you can put on top of the machine. So this is a convertible unit or a combo unit, and you could basically put a blender carafe on there, and you got a tamper in there, so you just tamp things down in there, much like you would on the Vitamix. And this is comparable to the Vitamix in performance. It has a nice heavy-duty motor, runs up to 26,500 RPMs, and in my test, it is comparable and does a similar job to the Vitamix. Now, the other amazing feature of this when using it as a blender is that you have automatic program modes. You can do different processes by basically hitting the start button on the unit, and the machine will run for a specific period of time and then shut itself off. So you have a smoothie mode, a grinding mode for milling, you have a soup mode, an ice crushing mode, as well as a cleaning mode on there. It's automatically programmed so that you could just press one button, you could leave the room, let the blender blend, and you could come back and your blended mixture is all finished up. If you guys want to learn more about the Nama C2, be sure to check my other YouTube channel, Discount Juicers. I'll put the link down below to my video, actually where I do the unboxing of this, where I go really deep into everything you get and show you guys how you can actually make a hot soup with the Nama C2 convertible blender and juicer. Now, of course, you guys know I've been advocating for vacuum blending for many years, and unfortunately, at the time of the release, the Nama C2 is not have a vacuum option. I did hear from the president or CEO of Nama that they are working with the factory to make an aftermarket attachment that you can buy separately and then add it on to the C2 so that you can do vacuum blending. That being said, I wouldn't be promoting this machine if I didn't figure out a way you can do vacuum blending, because that's the only blending technology I choose to promote, because I know it preserves more nutrition. It enables you to store your blended mixtures longer with less degradation. It also causes you to have less gas and bloating because you are swallowing less air. And of course, my name is John Cullen. I know everything about all the different appliances out there, and I figured out a way for maybe under $30 you could convert the Nama C2 into a vacuum blender. Actually, why don't I share with you guys that right now? All right, so to convert the Nama C2 into a vacuum blender, you'll only need 2 parts, and you can buy these parts on Amazon or other places. Number one, you guys need to get this vacuum adapter by Zwilling. I'll put a link down to my Amazon shop where I have this linked, as well as the pump I recommend to pull the vacuum. So you'll need these 2 things. This is about 10 bucks, maybe with lids. You could get this for maybe 20 bucks or so. Then what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and take off the carafe. We're going to take off the pusher. There's normally a little cap that goes in here. And when you open up this box, what you'll see is you'll see a little lid with a valve on there. So this lid and valve made for a different blender conveniently fits the Nama C2. The thing I don't like about the Nama C2 is on the top of the lid, there's a textured area, and this doesn't allow this vacuum lid to seal properly to get a higher vacuum than it should. Plus this gasket in here may not be durable enough to pull a good strong vacuum, but nonetheless, this works. So I want to demonstrate that to you guys real quick. We have another Nama C2 blender jar, and what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and do the marshmallow vacuum test so you guys can see how the vacuum is pulled on the C2 carafe, how much vacuum you get pulled. Now, of course, by all means, if you want to do a real vacuum blending, buy a real vacuum blender. This is kind of a hack, and yes, you can pull a slight vacuum on this. Definitely more than like the NutriBullet hack that I did many years ago, link down below to that. But this will not pull as much as, you know, high-end vacuum blenders at this time until I figure out other, you know, ways to do that. All right, so we're just going to go ahead and throw some marshmallows in each of these containers, approximately the same amount of marshmallows on each container. Obviously, on this side, we're not going to vacuum it. But on this side, we will be vacuuming it. So the most important thing for vacuum blending is you want to make sure this gasket is on. Sometimes it might help if you wet it down a little bit. You're going to go ahead and make sure this is all the way down, and it makes a nice seal. We're going to go ahead and then put on the Zwilling lid adapter on the top, and we're just going to go ahead and pump this. So what you're going to see is you're going to see the marshmallows start to expand and get bigger. This is here for reference so you can see the size of the marshmallows when we start. So let's see how many pumps we get before it starts to leak. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We're doing good. You see them getting bigger. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Up, it's leaking. We got down to 17, and then that's when the seal is not making a seal anymore. Let's pump a couple more times. All right, yeah, so once it starts making a noise, that's when you know you need to stop. I haven't figured out, you know, why it's leaking. But you guys can clearly see we got a slight vacuum on there, and how we'll know if we got a vacuum is we'll let it out. And you guys can see the marshmallows deflate to a smaller size than original. So yes, we were able to pull a vacuum with the Zwilling top and the vacuum pump. In the future, I hope to figure out, you know, how to make it seal even better. And of course, also in the future, I hope that Namawell will come out with a, you know, a proper vacuum blending solution for this unit. So now that you saw, you guys could actually pull a vacuum on the Nama C2 like I recommend and promote. Of course, using a vacuum blender is your choice. You guys could do it or not. I recommend you guys do it, but if you don't want to vacuum blend, you have the option with the Nama C2 to not vacuum blend as well. You do have the tamper to make banana and ice creams and nut butters, hummuses, and whatever else you would make in your blender. That being said, right now we're going to use it as a juicer to make one of my favorite juices. And what we're going to make today is basically red bell pepper juice, right? I like to make raw soups, you know, using juice as the base. A lot of soup recipes may use water as the base, and to me, you're just diluting your nutrition down. Instead, I like to use full nutrition. Bell peppers are rich in vitamin C, and that can help produce collagen in your skin, so you could have actually nice skin. And they're one of my favorite fruits, actually. And, you know, of course, they're a non-sweet fruit at that. So what we're going to do is we got 10 bell peppers here, and I'm going to quickly and easily juice them in the Nama C2 juicer, showing you guys how this juicer works. So the easy thing is on the bell peppers, I like to just cut them in half, and I'll just make sure they look good on the inside, and I'll just basically pull off the little stem. I'll just pull out the green stem, but all this little white part and all the seeds, there's lots of good nutrition in there. So we're actually going to juice those. So I'm just pulling off just the green stem part. And then I'll cut the bell pepper in half, and we're just going to go ahead and open up the J2 hopper and load up the J2 with the bell peppers. I think to save you guys some time, we're just going to go ahead and load it up. We're going to come back on at you when we have it all loaded. So we're able to fit about 5 bell peppers into the NAMA C2 juicer. That's about half my bell peppers. And now we're going to get juicing. We're going to go ahead and shut the lid. And when you put all the juicing parts on, it'll say juice. And when you put the blender on, it'll say blend, because it knows what part you're putting on. So you could either juice or blend, and you could basically have one appliance on your counter instead of 2. And instead of buying a blender and a juicer, this machine is going to cost you guys less money than buying 2 separate appliances. Furthermore, I want to save you guys some money by giving you guys a coupon code RAWFOOD10 on the NAMA C2 juicer. That'll save you guys 10% off your purchase. And when you guys use that coupon code RAWFOOD10, not only will you save 10%, which is $80, guys, NAMA will share with me a small commission so I can continue to make these educational videos for you guys, show you guys my best tips on how to use the different appliances. I'll put a link down below to my video, the 10 things that they won't tell you about the NAMA J2, which also would apply to the NAMA C2 when using the juicing attachment. So anyways, we got it on the forward mode, on the on position, and let's just go ahead and hit the start button and get juicing. Once we start juicing, there's a count up timer. It'll basically run for 30 minutes before it cuts itself off automatically. You could then restart it to juice more. The amazing thing about the NAMA C2 is that the juice is coming out and we don't have to put produce in the machine. A matter of fact, what I'm gonna do while I'm waiting is I'm gonna go do something else in the house, and we're gonna leave this here running for you so you guys can see the machine run without me. As you guys can see, the machine basically ran through all those peppers, and it made approximately 20 ounces of juice in approximately 2 minutes and 26 seconds. We're gonna go ahead and shut it off, and while it's going, if you want to be here, you could cut up and keep dropping things in, and then when you have all the ingredients in, then you could walk away and do your stuff. That being said, I'm gonna go ahead and prep the rest of this, fill up the hopper, and let it run another 2 minutes to make another 20 ounces of juice. All right, as you guys can see, the NAMA C2 juiced my peppers all up. I always like to tip the machine down, get a couple more drips out. And we also made some pulp right here. And guys, this pulp is fairly dry. Now, hey, yeah, I got other juicers. I could get the pulp a lot drier, but we could barely squeeze any juice out of it. I always like to get a second pressing on my pulp. So what I'll do is I'll cube up some jicama and then put this back in the machine with cubed up jicama to get a secondary extract, and I'll probably put pineapple in there at the same time, so then I'll have a pineapple, pepper, jicama juice, getting a second pressing out. Of course, you could also use something like carrots and the pulp again to make more juice, and then actually just use that in the recipe that I'll be showing you guys. So anyways, the reason why I like the C2 is because now we're going to convert it instantly from the juicer to the blender. So now we just put the blender top on, and now we're all set and ready to blend in the NAMA C2. One appliance does it all, guys. Slow juice and blend now, and even vacuum blend. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the juice we just made. This is about 40 ounces of juice. This is measured up to 64 fluid ounces approximately, and then it goes a little bit higher. So it's the standard capacity of, like, say, a Vitamix. We're going to go ahead and put the 40 ounces of the fresh pepper juice we just made. And now we're going to turn this juice into a delicious soup base. So to do that, we're just going to add a few ingredients. And this is going to be a taco soup. So we got basically taco seasoning. Down at the bottom, organic. We got some organic nutritional yeast from Germany. And in the top here, we got my dried or freeze-dried sweet peppers. On there we get about 2 tablespoons of each of these, and maybe 4 tablespoons of the freeze-dried peppers. Drop those in, that'll add a nice flavor. and give a good flavor punch and thicken it up a little bit. Next up, we're gonna add some other ingredients. I got some peppers, fresh peppers out of my garden. So we're just gonna go ahead and chop these up and throw them in whole. Fresh peppers out of my garden. Get some pepper fiber. And then inside here, we got a few things. We got 3 cloves of garlic, add a nice flavor. We got 4 pitted dates. We got like a handful of cashews. And then we got some of my homegrown hot peppers that I then fermented, going right in. Normally right now, if I was eating only raw, I might put actually more freeze-dried peppers or more cashews and more nuts to thicken up the soup. That being said, I'm now eating small amounts of heat processed foods. And if you guys are going to want to do that yourself, great. And this is what I'd recommend you guys add to your soup to make it even thicker and even more nutritious for you guys, all right? So I got some organic, pre-cooked, low-sodium kidney beans. This is by the Jack's brand. I don't like buying things in the cans. This is in a Tetra Pak, which is BPA-free. These are pre-cooked kidney beans. So we're just gonna dump the kidney beans into my soup. What this will do is when this blends up, this will blend up into a thicker mixture. I mean, think about hummus. What is hummus? That's blended chickpeas, right? So we got some blended up kidney beans that are gonna add a nice like bean type texture to the pepper soup. More importantly, it's gonna add things like resistant starch and galacto-oleosaccharides, which is a good fiber that feeds our microbiome. Plus also the kidney beans are red. They're one of the healthiest beans you could have lots of antioxidant content. So, I'm happy that I'm now including some small amounts of heat processed food, and like this whole recipe is raw except for one little thing of beans. Of course, if you guys don't need to put the beans in, you could put in some more nuts if you wanted, a thicker soup. These days, I prefer to put in some beans. So now we're just gonna go ahead and put the top on, and then we're gonna put our vacuum top on, and then we're just gonna go ahead and pump a vacuum on the unit. All right, next up, we're gonna go ahead and put this on top, and we're just gonna go ahead and put this on the smoothie cycle, which will run for 1 minute. We're just gonna go ahead and hit the start button. And there we go. We have our soup made. It stopped automatically. It's still nice and cool, and it looks like we still got a small vacuum on there. So let's let off the vacuum. Yep, we still had a vacuum on there. And let's go ahead and pour out my soup base into a nice large bowl, because now we're gonna make a raw vegan soup. Oh my gosh, this smells so nice, guys, and look at that texture. Everything is nice and blended up. I'm not seeing any bits of dates. I'm not seeing any cashews. I'm not seeing any kidney beans. A really nice texture made with the Nama C2 juicer blender combo. The one appliance that does your juicing and blending, as you guys just learned. All right, so you guys saw how we just made a soup base using the Nama C2 to juice my peppers and then blend it up with some additional items to make a nice, rich, and creamy soup. Next, we're gonna go ahead and add some ingredients to the soup to give it more texture, flavor, and importantly, more nutrition. I encourage you guys to try to get as much variety into your diet as possible. Already I've used at least maybe 10 ingredients, because that taco seasoning has at least 5 ingredients plus all the ingredients I've used, and we're gonna add more. And of course, these are up to you. This is what I happen to have laying around today and what I'm using. You guys could put up and add in your own chopped up ingredients, whatever you have laying around. So first up, we got some red sweet onions. These are not the hot onions, these are the sweet onions. I prefer those. That's 1 onion chopped up, mixed in. Next up, we got the most important ingredient, fresh greens from my garden. I went around my garden and picked like 1 or 2 or 3 or maybe 5 or 6 leaves of different in-season vegetables, including water spinach, Malabar spinach, potato leaf or sweet potato leaf, kale, Brussels sprout greens, lettuces, red lettuces, basil, holy basil, all kinds of stuff I chopped up. We're just gonna go ahead and drop that in there. Next up, we got some julienne zucchini. You could spiralize it. I prefer the julienne because it's like nice and small. Makes it a lot nicer texture when I'm eating it. Next up, we got some seaweed. So this is seaweed from Korea, guys. This has 9 different varieties of seaweed in this sea tangle seaweed that's fresh. They preserve it with salt, so it is not dehydrated. This is the way I encourage you guys to eat your seaweeds. It's by Sea Tangle, the same company that makes the kelp noodles. I don't recommend the kelp noodles because they're fake. I do recommend the seaweed because it is 100% real. Oops, and I'm spilling it. So we're going to go ahead and throw all our seaweed in there, 9 different types. You know, to me, seaweed is so critical on a raw vegan or even vegan diet to get some of those trace minerals, because most of you guys aren't eating like iodized salt, so this will have the iodine as well as other trace minerals in there. Next up, I want to add a little bit more fat since we didn't put a lot of cashews in there. And while I do like nuts as a fat source in small amounts, I also like other fat sources such as coconuts. And in this case, we got raw, fermented, green, I think it's Apfisa olives from my favorite company, Big Picture Foods, that imports raw olives that have been fermented from Greece. They're awesome and legit. So we added 1 container of those. I chopped them all up. And then we got this one. No, this is not Parmesan cheese. This is actually shredded jicama. So 1 small shredded jicama. I encourage you guys to get some jicama into your diet. It's rich in prebiotic fibers such as the inulin, and really good for your microbiome. Plus, it kind of looks like Parmesan cheese when you shred it nice and fine. So once we got all our ingredients in there, next up, we just need to stir it on up. All right, so we got it all stirred up, and I'm really smelling that taco seasoning. It smells so good. And we're just gonna go ahead and scoop out a nice bowl for me of the fresh pepper-based taco soup that I just made thanks to only 1 appliance in my kitchen, the Nama C2 juicer. Let's go ahead and try this for you guys on the camera. Let you guys know how my pepper soup is. Fresh made, so delicious. Off the hook, guys. Man, those olives really hit the spot. You just get a little bit of olive when you're chewing it all up. I got like all the mixture of greens. It's a really neutral, mild flavor. I got the crispness of the jicama that kind of gives it a nice crunch. I got the softness of the zucchini, julienne slices, and of course the chewiness of the seaweed. Man, this is one of my favorite recipes to this date. Hey, I wish I could make wraps and all these other things. Like Lissa at Raw Food Romance, her wraps are amazing, and now her tacos that I haven't tried yet. But I really love my soup, and I want you guys to make soup too. And the Nama C2 makes it easy for you guys to do that. The 1 appliance that'll not only juice, also blend for you guys to make things like the raw soup that I made today. You could also maybe like juice some oranges or juice apples and then use that apple juice or orange juice as the base of your green smoothie. You could also do a similar thing where you take tomato juice that you made with the C2, you put it in the blender with some nuts and seeds, and you make a tomato-based dressing, 100% fresh, using only 1 appliance. You know, one of my favorite things to do is to juice carrots. And now you can take carrot juice your carrots, because carrots are really inexpensive, and if you live in a place where greens are expensive, you don't have a garden full of them like I do, you don't like juicing greens because you feel you waste them and they don't make a lot of juice. Hey, juice your carrots that are cheap, and then take, you know, some greens and then blend in the greens. So now you're getting the benefits of juicing and blending. Here's the thing I'll tell you guys after looking at lots of research and living on a raw vegan diet now for the last 28 years is that there are pros and cons to juicing, and there are pros and cons to blending. Which one is better? I'd be hard pressed to really try to convince you that one is better than the other. What I will say is that one is better for you than the other, depending on where you are in your health journey and on your microbiome journey and with your digestive system journey. I would generally like to think that people new into the diet, juicing would benefit them a little bit more by removing some of the fiber so they get better uptake of some of those different phytonutrients. But then again, you know, I also like to keep the fiber, you know, to blend up things and cream things up like nuts and blend up the kidney beans so I don't even taste the kidney beans in the soup, but they add a nice heartiness to the soup, as well as the beneficial fiber and other nutrition in the beans. So that's what I'll tell you guys. The C2 will allow you to elevate your diet to the next level, because not only can you juice, but you could also blend. So you guys could do the 2 best ways to process fruits and vegetables and other plant foods in your kitchen to maximize their nutritional value. If you guys are considering buying the Nama C2 juicer, first check out my unboxing video, link down below. Also, I want you guys to use the coupon code RAWFOOD10 to save 10% off on the C2 if you're gonna buy it. It'll save you guys 80 bucks. I'm concerned that the C2 will sell out because when the J2 was initially released, it sold out and you weren't able to get one for a few months. So I want you guys to get one now if you guys want one and you have been waiting for something that will do your juicing in a slow, convenient, and easy process, as well as your blending and even vacuum blending with the hacks that I showed you guys today. So if you guys enjoyed this episode learning how I made my raw soup with the Nama C2 juicer, want me to do more demos in the future where I share with you guys how I make my recipes and how I eat, be sure to give it a big thumbs up. More importantly, share this with other people that are considering buying a juicer and or blender or are new into raw foods, because this is the one appliance they buy and they don't need to buy two, and it's going to save them money by buying one appliance that does it all. The juicing, the traditional blending, as well as the vacuum blending with the kit I share with you guys. Also, be sure to click that subscribe button right down below so you don't miss my new and upcoming episodes I'm coming out every 5 to 7 days. You never know what will show up or what you'll be learning on my YouTube channel. Make sure you click the little bell so you get notified as my videos come out. And finally, be sure to check out past episodes. The past episodes are a wealth of knowledge. Over 700 episodes at this time on the channel dedicated to teach you guys all about the benefits of eating more fresh fruits and vegetables and other plant foods in your diet as minimally processed as possible. So with that, my name is John Kohler with OKRaw.com. We'll see you next time, and until then, remember, keep eating your fresh fruits and vegetables. They're always the best.